wow, it really looks like a Leica. I mean, I just looking through the viewfinder, I can already sense that Leica vibe, that painterly look, rich and oily colors, very cinematic feeling. For this shot, I didn't do too much color grading here. This is original raw image. I almost didn't change a lot. Look at those reds and deep dark blues of the kimono. They are rich, deep, and so beautiful, right? But what I'm using here is not a Leica lens actually. This is the replica of Leica Noctilux 75 lens, the 7Artisans 75mm M-mount f1.25 second generation. At New Year 2026, I'm coming to Senso Ji Temple in Tokyo with this 7Artisans in manufocus Leica M-mount lens on a Sony A7 IV. Now at f1.4. Look the bokeh at f2. Now at f1.25 wide open. The background below is extremely creamy and soft. Look, their light fabric kimono look like shoot with a Leica Noctilux. Light, elegant, very refined. Skin tones looks also great. During the Japanese New Year, people visit shrines and temples to pray for good luck. Japan has two main religions, Shinto and Buddhism. Shinto places are called shrines, and you will usually see a torii gate. Buddhist places are called temples, and this Senso Ji is a Buddhist temple. Today is January 2nd, and it's still very crowded, but definitely less crowded than yesterday. If you came on January 1st, you'd probably be waiting in line for more than 1 hour. Buddhism was introduced to Japan from China over a century ago, but it evolved different here. I've never used the first generation, and I've also never used the real Leica Noctilux 75mm, which costs more than 20 times as much. Also, this is actually my first time using a 7Artisans lens at all. I personally love the 75mm focal length. It feels very cinematic to me. I can shoot everything with 75mm all day, feel no need to switch lenses. Actually, most of my video footages uses the 75 focal length with a Tamron 28 to 75mm zoom lens. This lens doesn't have that swirly bokeh wide open like another 75mm lens I tried and made a video. That's Buta style 75mm f1.25. You can check this video. It feels much more like Leica. The colors reminded me of Sumilux. The lens cap is made of metal and fits perfectly, very solid. I put on a 62mm UV filter just to protect the front element from fingerprints, which honestly happens all the time. The lens itself is very compact. On a Leica M6 body, it looks perfectly balanced and beautiful. The UV filter doesn't affect the use of the lens cap at all. I also found a lens hood. I think it's maybe Nikon. At this time I'm editing this video, this lens hasn't officially been released yet, so detailed specs are still not available. I honestly don't know what kind of optical design they used, but wide open it performs extremely well. Unnoticeable vignetting, almost no dreamy glow. Still usable even wide open, just a clean, solid image quality. If I were shooting film, which I will, I'd really want to use this lens on a Leica M3. But M3 doesn't have 75mm frame lengths. The Leica M6 does have 75mm frame lengths, but on its 0.72 magnification viewfinder, both the 50 and the 75mm frame lengths are very small. Here's what the M6 viewfinder looks like. You see both the 50 and the 75 frame lengths, and the inner dotted frame is for 75. You also notice that the lens blocks the bottom right corner of the frame lengths. With the lens hood, it blocks even more. So on the M6, actually shouldn't use a lens hood. But this isn't an issue when adapting the lens to a Sony mirrorless camera. Mirrorless cameras don't have the limitation of rangefinders. Speaking of rangefinder limitation, I've always believed that rangefinder focusing is best suited for film photography. Rangefinder focusing is inherently imprecise. Film is much more forgiving. A little bit of focus error is fine, because film has thickness and grain. But with digital, even a tiny miss looks uncomfortable and obvious. On digital cameras using magnified live view focusing, you can truly enjoy that razor-thin depth of field and actually nail focus. When using this lens at f1.25 or f1.4, whenever possible, I always use magnified focusing. Even then, it's still easy to miss focus. The depth of field is extremely shallow. Even when shooting static subjects wide open, you have to be very careful. Any slight movement of your body or hands can throw the focus off. And focusing on moving people wide open, it's basically luck. So for street photography, I mostly shoot f2 or f2.8. I did notice one downside of this lens. When shooting high contrast subjects in strong light, there can be a bit of purple funging wide open. Other than that, I honestly have zero complaints. Excellent image quality wide open, not a very noticeable vignetting, compact and portable, buttery smooth focus ring, and most importantly, the color rendering is absolutely beautiful. I really enjoy it. The aperture ring isn't evenly spaced, just like that Leica takes some time to get used to, just like learning how to focus quickly with it. Rangefinder cameras have a flange distance shorter than SLRs, but longer than mirrorless cameras. Most M-mount lenses are also much smaller than SLR lenses, so the adapter is very thin. That's why M-mount lenses adapt perfectly to mirrorless cameras. They stay compact and well-balanced, instead of looking awkwardly long with a SLR adapter. But the downside is minimum focus distance. Almost all M-mount lenses have minimum focus distance of around 0.7 to 1 meter. That's a limitation of the M-mount design. This lens focuses down to 0.8 meters. The Leica version focuses to 0.85 meters. They are similar. If you want more closer focusing, you can use an adapter with micro function. I'm using a Voigtlander Leica M to Sony E adapter with a built-in micro function. Just switch this button here and rotate it to stretch. Now is 0.8 meters without micro function. Now is the closest with micro function, about 0.58 meters. It's the best adapter I've ever used. Alright, this is my first digital test of this lens. Next time I'll be using it to shoot film. Thanks for watching and see you next episode.